Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone. Tonight, we're diving into a tale that takes place at the heart of a thrilling carnival that turns deadly. Carnival of the Dead. Imagine the excitement of a funhouse, the laughter of the crowd, and the dazzling lights until a terrifying twist reveals the horrors lurking in the shadows. Our characters face a relentless swarm of the undead as they fight for survival in this eerie carnival turned nightmare. If you enjoyed this story, please let us know by leaving a comment below. Your feedback is essential, helping us bring you more spine-chilling tales, and we'd love to hear your ideas for future stories too. What kind of zombie tales do you want next? Share your thoughts and help us make the Zombie Story Zone the ultimate destination for undead thrillers.
Music.
Came to life under a full moon, casting eerie shadows over the towering Ferris wheel and spinning teacups. Kids laughed as they clutched balloons, couples strolled through the midway hand in hand, and the sweet aroma of cotton candy drifted through the air. This wasn't just any carnival, it was a place for thrill seekers, for people who lived for haunted attractions, maze-like rides, and ghostly legends. But tonight, there was something else in the air, an edge of dread. Mila pulled her jacket tighter as the wind blew through her hair. She was here with her boyfriend, Nate, and their friends Travis, a thrill seeker, and Amber, who'd rather be anywhere but here. Amber looked over at Mila, eyes wide, as they strolled toward the newest attraction, the dark funhouse. "Are you sure about this?" Amber asked, her voice tinged with fear. Mila smirked. "Don't worry, it's just a haunted house. What's the worst that could happen?" Nate gave her shoulder a reassuring squeeze, and they walked through the entrance, disappearing into the funhouse's darkness. The mirrors distorted their reflections, and Mila caught a glimpse of her own face twisted into something monstrous. She shivered, but Travis laughed, his carefree voice echoing through the hall. "Relax, Amber. It's just smoke and mirrors." But as they rounded a corner, the smell hit them sickly sweet, like rotting meat. They paused, their laughter fading as the reality set in. "Do you smell that?" Nate asked, his voice suddenly serious. As they ventured further into the funhouse, Amber clung to Mila's arm, her eyes darting around. The lights flickered, casting strange shadows that seemed to twist and lurch with every step. They moved through a maze of mirrors, stumbling upon other carnival goers laughing nervously or snapping selfies. But then, Mila noticed something, a figure standing in the corner, its eyes milky white, lips curled back in a grotesque snarl. She shook her head, dismissing it as a trick of the light. "Mila," Amber whispered, her voice barely audible. "Shh, it's just a mannequin," Mila replied, though her voice wavered. But when they turned the corner, the figure lunged forward, gnashing teeth bared. Travis swore loudly, stumbling backward, and Nate grabbed a piece of broken mirror to defend himself. The mannequin moved with unnatural jerks, its eyes locked on them. It wasn't human. It was something else. "Run," Nate shouted, and they took off, pushing through the narrow corridors, mirrors reflecting their panicked faces at every turn. As they burst out of the funhouse, they collided with other carnival goers. Shrieks filled the air as more of those mannequins appeared, staggering toward the crowd. That's when Mila noticed its decayed skin, lifeless eyes, and blood dripping from cracked lips. They weren't mannequins, they were zombies. Outside, chaos had erupted. Carnival workers and guests were running in every direction, screaming as zombies spilled out of every ride and attraction. The zombies moved like a tidal wave, flooding the carnival grounds with their stiff, jerking steps, reaching out with grasping hands. The smell of decay was overwhelming. "Amber, Travis, this way," Nate yelled, pulling Mila toward a row of game stalls. They ducked behind a shooting gallery, where stuffed animals stared down at them with lifeless eyes. A young girl hiding behind a teddy bear whimpered as they crouched down next to her. "It's okay," Mila whispered, though her voice shook. "We'll get out of here." Nate grabbed a pellet gun from the game stand. "It's not much, but it'll have to do. We just need to keep moving." But as they prepared to make a run for it, another figure stumbled into view. A carnival worker, his face twisted with panic and blood smeared across his shirt. He raised a finger to his lips, mouthing, "Quiet." He held a knife, his hands shaking as he gripped the hilt. "Name's Ray," he whispered. "We've got to get to the staff building. There's a security room there, safe place." Mila nodded, grateful for the plan. "Lead the way." Ray led them through the maze of booths and rides, keeping them low and silent as the zombies swarmed nearby. They passed by the Ferris wheel, now motionless and covered in bodies clawing their way up the metal frame. A couple of zombies noticed them and lurched in their direction, but Ray swiftly dispatched them with his knife. Finally, they reached the staff building, but the door was locked. "Help me break it down," Ray urged, and Travis joined him, slamming their bodies against the door until it gave way. They hurried inside, locking the door behind them. The staff building was dimly lit, the hum of fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. As they moved down a narrow hallway, Mila noticed photos of past carnivals, happy faces oblivious to the terror that now haunted these grounds. They entered the security room, where multiple monitors showed the park's chaos. Zombies filled every screen. Guests and staff alike being overwhelmed. "There's no way out," Amber whispered, her voice hollow. But Ray shook his head. "There is. A maintenance tunnel under the park leads out to the edge of town. If we can make it down there, we have a shot." As they moved deeper into the building, they found the entrance to the tunnel. But it was dark and silent, the only light coming from Nate's phone. The air was thick and damp, the walls lined with pipes dripping with condensation. "Keep quiet," Ray warned, his voice a whisper. "Sound carries down here." But as they moved through the tunnel, a faint growling echoed off the walls. Shadows shifted, and they realized they weren't alone. A figure staggered out of the darkness, followed by two more. Their eyes were lifeless, skin stretched tight over decayed muscles, teeth bared. Ray moved forward, his knife raised. "Back up," slowly. But the zombies lunged, their sudden speed catching Ray off guard. He went down with a scream, the knife clattering to the floor. Nate and Travis rushed to pull him back, but the zombies were relentless, sinking their teeth into him before he could get away. "Go," Ray gasped, his voice fading as they dragged him back. Mila's heart pounded as she grabbed Amber's hand, pulling her down the tunnel. They could still hear Ray's cries echoing in the darkness, but soon it was silent again, save for their ragged breathing. They finally saw a faint glimmer of moonlight at the end of the tunnel. The exit was in sight, and Mila felt a surge of hope. But as they approached, more figures appeared in the shadows, blocking their path. These zombies were different, faster, hungrier. They lunged forward, forcing Mila and her friends to fight their way through. Travis swung the broken mirror, catching one across the face, but they kept coming. With a desperate scream, Amber threw herself at the closest zombie, clawing and kicking, giving the others a chance to escape. But there were too many. Travis grabbed Mila, pulling her forward as she screamed Amber's name. They burst out of the tunnel and into the moonlit night, their bodies battered, clothes torn. They stumbled into an open field, panting as they looked back at the tunnel entrance. Amber was gone. They finally saw a faint glimmer of moonlight at the end of the tunnel. The exit was in sight, and Mila felt a surge of hope. But as they approached, more figures appeared in the shadows, blocking their path. These zombies were different, faster, hungrier. They lunged forward, forcing Mila and her friends to fight their way through. Travis swung the broken mirror, catching one across the face, but they kept coming. With a desperate scream, Amber threw herself at the closest zombie, clawing and kicking, giving the others a chance to escape. But there were too many. Travis grabbed Mila, pulling her forward as she screamed Amber's name. They burst out of the tunnel and into the moonlit night, their bodies battered, clothes torn. They stumbled into an open field, panting as they looked back at the tunnel entrance.